before the full story begins. There's something you need to understand about families like mine. The cruelty is never loud at first, it hides inside small things. Missed invitations, last-minute schedule changes. Conversations that somehow happen without you every single time. I'm Vanessa. I'm 34 years old and 3 days before Christmas. My younger brother accidentally added me to a family group chat I was never supposed to see. At first it looked harmless. Dinner plans, grocery lists, decorations. Then I saw, my mother, right? Just make sure Vanessa doesn't show up early this year. My brother replied, tell her the 28th again. Worked last time. My father reacted with a laughing emoji. That was the moment everything in my life rearranged itself. Because buried between those messages was another sentence. One they clearly thought I'd never read. The closing is the day after Christmas. Closing. On Grandma Eleanor's house. The house they thought they could sell without me. The only problem? 8 years earlier, my grandmother quietly put my name on the deed. And nobody in that group chat remembered. I was sitting alone in a roadside hotel outside Pittsburgh when I found the messages. The room smelled like burnt coffee and old carpet. My laptop was open beside me, unfinished engineering reports glowing across the screen, but I stopped seeing any of it the second I started scrolling through that chat. 42 messages, not one invitation, not one should we ask Vanessa. Only instructions about how to keep me away long enough for the sale to go through. I didn't cry immediately. That surprised me. I just stared at the screen while my chest felt strangely hollow, like someone had opened a door inside me and all the air escaped at once. My family had spent years making me feel forgettable in ways subtle enough to deny later. Oh, we thought you were busy. We assumed you couldn't make it. It was last minute. Every excuse sounded reasonable on its own. But together they formed a pattern. And patterns don't lie, especially not to someone trained to notice structural failure. I'm a civil engineer. I inspect bridges, parking structures, public buildings. My entire career revolves around finding stress fractures before everything collapses. That night, for the first time, I realized my family had cracks running through it for years. I just kept painting over them. The message that changed everything came near the bottom of the thread. The buyer wants the final walkthrough Christmas afternoon. Buyer.walkthrough.closing. I read those words again and again until one memory forced its way back into my mind. My grandmother's front porch, the yellow house on Maple Street. And the brass key still hanging from my own Keychain. My grandmother, Eleanor, gave me that key when I was 26. Not secretly, right in front of everyone during Thanksgiving dinner. This house will always be yours too, she told me. My mother rolled her eyes so hard I still remember it at the time. I thought Grandma was being emotional. I had no idea she meant it legally. That night in the hotel, I opened my laptop and searched the county property records. 5 minutes later, found it quitclaim deed. Filed 8 years earlier. Owner 1, Patricia Bennett. Owner 2, Vanessa Bennett. I stopped breathing for a second. My grandmother hadn't just given me a key. She had given me protection. The house legally belonged to both my Apetza. I belonged to both my, which meant the sale couldn't happen without my signature. And judging by the group chat, nobody planned on telling me that. I leaned back slowly in the desk chair, staring at the scanned document on the screen. The county seal, the signatures, my name. It was all real, suddenly. Every strange moment from the last few years made sense. The fake holiday dates, the sudden exclusions. The polite distance, they weren't simply pushing me away emotionally. They were managing access, keeping me far enough from the house that I wouldn't notice the staging furniture, the realtor lockbox, or the for sale listing before closing day. I should have called my mother immediately. Old version of me probably would have, but I already knew how that conversation would go. She would cry, she would say, "I misunderstood." She would accuse me of making drama during the holidays. And somehow, I would end up apologizing for discovering something they intentionally hid from me. So instead, I stayed quiet. and I started collecting information the next morning. My mother called. Her voice sounded warm and effortless. "Christmas dinner's probably going to be small this year," she said casually. "Maybe just come by on the 28th instead." The 28th, exactly like the messages said. I looked at the screenshots. While she spoke, every word matched. That hurt more than the lie itself. It was rehearsed, carefully practiced, like excluding me had become part of the holiday tradition after we hung up. I searched the realtor online, and there it was, Grandma Eleanor's house, listed for $264,000. Fresh. Paint, new furniture, smiling real estate photos. That erased every trace of the woman who raised me. Her reading chair was gone. The handmade curtains were gone. Even the old kitchen table had disappeared. It looked like strangers already lived there. I stared at those listing photos for a long time. Not angry, just clear. That's the only word for it. Clear, like fog finally lifting. A few days later, my mother emailed me documents labeled estate paperwork. She asked me to sign quickly before Christmas. I opened the PDF. It wasn't estate paperwork. It was the sale agreement, my signature line. Had yellow highlights beside it, and buried deep in the payment section was the part that made my stomach turn. The entire profit from the sale was being transferred into my mother's account. Not split, not shared. My name was needed for ownership purposes, but financially. They planned to leave me with nothing. I sat motionless for almost 10 minutes, not because I was shocked anymore, because I finally understood something painful. They truly believed I wouldn't read it. That was my role in the family, reliable enough to use invisible. Enough to dismiss. I forwarded everything to a real estate attorney, the deed, the screenshots, the sale agreement. An hour later, he called me back. "Your signature is legally required," he said. "Without it, the closing stops immediately." I thanked him. Then I made one final decision. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to scream. And I definitely wasn't begging for basic honesty from people who already chose convenience over me years ago. I sent one email to the realtor identifying myself as owner of the property. That was it. No threats, no emotional speeches, just facts. Then I waited. Christmas morning arrived, cold and quiet. I made coffee in my apartment and opened the family group chat. Photos started pouring in almost immediately. Dinner table. Candles. Matching plates. 4 seats. Not 5. Never 5. At 9:17 a.m. I typed the only message I planned to send. "Merry Christmas. Your realtor can explain the rest." I hit send, and the chat went silent. Completely silent. No emojis, no replies, just those little typing bubbles, appearing and disappearing over and over again while panic spread through the room I was never invited into. Then my phone started ringing, my brother first, then my mother, then my father again. By the end of the first hour. 83 missed calls. For 3 straight Christmases they forgot I existed. Now suddenly they couldn't stop dialing my number. I finally answered once. My mother sounded breathless. "What did you do?" I looked around my quiet apartment before answering. "Nothing," I said calmly. "I just read the paperwork." Silence. Heavy silence. Then my father spoke quietly somewhere in the background. "We should have told her." Nobody responded to him, not even my mother, because deep down, every person in that room already knew the truth. This was never about money alone. It was about control, about deciding who mattered enough to include. And Grandma Eleanor saw it long before I did. That's why she protected me before she was gone. Not loudly, not dramatically, just carefully, like someone placing support beams inside a structure they know will someday face pressure. The sale collapsed 2 days later. The buyer walked away, and for the first time in years, my family had to face something they spent a long time avoiding. Me, if this story hit something real inside you, remember this? People who truly value you never need reminders to include you. And if someone only calls when they need your signature, your money, your silence, or your cooperation, that's not love. That's convenience. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't yelling, revenge, or exposing everyone publicly. Sometimes strength is simply refusing to disappear so other people can stay comfortable. Vanessa spent years believing she was forgettable, but one document, quietly signed years earlier by the only person who truly saw her, changed everything. If you've ever felt pushed to the edge of your own family, overlooked until someone needed something from you, or treated like an afterthought instead of a person, you are not alone, and you are not invisible. Drop a comment with the word "seen" if this story connected with you. Subscribe for more calm, emotional drama stories about betrayal, boundaries, quiet comebacks, and ordinary people finally realizing their worth. Because sometimes, the quietest person in the room is the one holding everything together.